for her in Texas. She's gone to California. Go look for her in California. She's in Hawaii. And I find her in Hawaii. She goes to New York. I don't know if she's running from me or I'm supposed to be trying to keep up with her.
I've been busy. Yeah, I've been busy. It's
well,
crazy.
In Florida, down there in Florida. I mean, so, the only person I know on the planet that's actually kind of keeping up with Jen and me might be you.
I've been all over. It's been nutty. A lot is going on. Yeah.
So
well,
amazing.
And by the way, you might want to come with me to South Africa. I got stuff there I got to do. Go down to Cape Town. I've got stuff over in Australia that I got to do. So, you can get on a plane and join us. You want to go?
Oh my God, I'd love to go to South Africa. Is that what you said?
Yeah, South Africa. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to do that.
Well, that's the one where President Trump had the president of South Africa in his office, the ANC guy, and pantsed him right there to the whole world.
Oh,
I mean, on all the bullshit. But I'll tell you, there's something pretty interesting going on there. And I've been working with the folks there and spending quite a bit of time on a project they got going. It's pretty cool. I think, we're about to see something epic happen in that part of the world that's going to help everybody. And so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, that'd be great. That we need it over there. So fantastic.
Yeah.
And so let's jump into a little conversation piece. Epstein. So everybody's like they want the list, and everybody's screaming and yelling. What do you guys think about the Epstein list? And ladies first.
Yeah, ladies first.
Oh, I guess that would mean me. Well, like I just I think I think it's ongoing, and I wish Trump would tell us, but there's a lot still going on, and I think when it's completely cleaned up, he will tell us. So, it's all weird. He keeps putting people in office, it seems like, so they'll expose how crooked they are or something. And so it seems like that's what's happening. Bondi. A lot of us could never like her. And because she covered for a lot of bad stuff anyway, so I never liked her. But it seems like she's the latest Trump appointee to come unglued in front of the public. So I think it's ongoing, and it's not done yet, but it goes all the way to the top of the world. So it's I think it goes to the royal families. So of course, I think a lot more is going to come out, and we might be, I don't know, how a tornado or whatever has the eye. We might be in the eye and it looks calm, but there's a lot more crap coming. Am I right, Juan?
Well, let me pose it to the audience this way. First off, it was never just Jeffrey Epstein. There was people using him as their foil, their puppet, their public side of a operation. So Epstein was, put in positions, get access. His handlers are who we should be looking at, and so he was being run by CIA and FBI. And even the Bill Clinton and other people on the U.S. side having access to him to bring potential victims, if you will, to be honeypotted, blackmailed, extorted to the island. That wasn't done all by itself with Epstein. And then remember the other parts of the operation, Randy Andy, third in line to the British Crown, he was serving a similar purpose. He was rodeoing in people from all over the British Commonwealth and nations. And, they get starstruck, they're with the royal, they get to go hang out, they ride on the jet, they get out to the island, and then they would get honeypotted, blackmailed, extorted, whatever, put in compromising situations, filmed, and then, have to make a deal. Then you look at Ghislaine Maxwell, that's even more complex. This whole tie into another area, and it comes up because of his ties to Israel. But, there's always, I don't care what area you look at, the politics, the justice, the business, to say that you can't, that any place is all bad because you have some group that's working out of it, including Mossad, which was tightly tied into this operation, doesn't make the whole thing bad. There's some bad players all through, and all of the people involved, whether it's the Crown or our surveillance agencies and investigative agencies, FBI and CIA here, the business contacts, they all justify it because, well, we have to manage very nasty situations. We have to know what is going on in the background or control things. And so they justify some pretty bizarre behavior because it's the nature of politics, the world, globalism, whatever. The one thing that's not really widely known, most of the activities and people that revolved around the Epstein stuff actually were more canted towards this whole green revolution and some of the eco things to control that we would go to a world tax and supporting that the research proves that you got to have things be green out into the future and all that. Very heavily weighted to that crowd and the globalist crowd, and
that's the head of that is the King of England.
That
it's
is exactly
baby.
Right. Yes, and that's why I'm saying I would even say that the Epstein thing isn't as focused into the U.S. as a lot of people realize.
Right.
And Ghislaine is still around, so let's think about this for a second. Is the only black book and client list that we're looking for Epstein's? You don't think Ghislaine has as much or even more? And a lot of times people just look at the front man and they forget there's other people behind this and other targets in here.
That's right.
And including, by the way, the biggest fight that we're having are these secret families and societies and bloodlines. So that's who's fighting Trump. Look where the dossier came from. Even though Hillary's campaign paid for it through Perkins Coie law firm and Mark Elias, that was actually run through the city within the city of London, the banking capital of the world, inside the city of London, the old Roman city inside the city of London. And so, again, if we're looking at who are we really going for, when Trump is kind of blowing off Epstein, he's also giving you a clue that actually there's something else that's at the core of this that we're really going for. So take a deep breath and think again. And by the way, is Trump really not going after the sex traffickers and bad guys? Let me just add this one thing before I hand it back over. I want to get in right away. Elon has plans that the Democratic Party will not survive what's coming. That's the short version. Over the next couple of years, the revelations that are coming out, they're going to be, their foundations are going to be drilled so full of holes, the whole thing's going to fall in on itself. It'll explode like the Twin Towers. It's just going to dustify, okay? So what's going to have to happen is we're going to, even to be healthy as a country, you need that valiant opposition, if you will. Elon is suddenly, going against Trump. Well, it gives a relief, a safety valve, a blow-off valve. People that are never going to like Trump can head towards Elon and his new party thing. That's what he thinks. That's what the people around him are advising. There's an opportunity here. But there's one problem here. If they're going to base it on being anti-Trump and start talking, smack about Trump, let's think about this. If Elon now suddenly is going to talk about how Trump is in the Epstein files and is a bad guy, and some of the people around Trump are in there, like Bannon or other people, When did he learn that? Did he know that before he flew down and parked his jet right beside Trump's plane back in the 2020 campaign and suddenly decided he wanted to be best buddies with Trump because he thought Trump was going to win? Did he know it before that? Was he being political and like that, but he knew Trump was actually a bad guy? He was just kissing up to protect his own businesses? Or did he not know it and he was being honest? I mean, is he being truthful or honest in this? Did he learn it through the Doge stuff? Did somebody come to him? Oh my gosh, you won't believe what we just found over at, FBI or some other place. And now Trump's implicated in the Epstein stuff. Okay. Did you find that along the way? And that's why you're now all anti-Trump because he won't release the Epstein stuff. Trump did say to Bondi, release everything. Bondi send a note to Cash. FBI has all of the documents and information, and they haven't sent it to me. How's she going to release it when she doesn't have it? Get real. And then Cash can't get the guys that have it, which is the Southern District of New York FBI office, to release the stuff. They still say Trump's a Russian spy, so they're not going to cooperate. So Cash has to take a Tiger team down to Southern District of New York, kick the door in, grab a couple truckloads of videotapes, thousands and thousands of videotapes, and then they have to rapidly screen through them to figure out who all of the people and kids and everything else are. And while they're going through it, the objective is to, figure out what they can release. Some people are victims too, including the people who were taken to the island because they were set up. So they're working through that. And remember this one little detail. I just want to be thorough on this, so bear with me for just a minute. I'll get through this real quick. When Epstein was in jail in New York, his attorney, who had been hired while he was there, a couple weeks, about 10 days, I think it was, before he was suicided himself, he asked Epstein, in all the stuff that's going on here, is Trump involved? Is he implicated anywhere? Why? He's looking for an angle to, threaten Trump somehow or bring Trump in that would give some political hay to Epstein to get him somehow a deal. And Epstein told his attorney has talked about this numerous times, posted about it, been very open about it, that Epstein told him days before he died by whatever causes that Trump is nowhere in any of the stuff that they have. Trump is clean. That's from Epstein's attorney. If there had been anything he could use, they'd have used it. He's in jail. He's fighting for his freedom forever. So then I come back to Elon. If you discovered something along the way, okay, I get it. President Trump has said release everything to Bondi. Bondi has said she wants to release everything that's relevant here. FBI, Cash is in there getting it. If you discovered something along the way, give it to Bondi and an ultimatum: either you release it or I release it. Give it to Cash. Shoot, you're worth trillions for you and win. Just that you got X, post it, put it out in the world. And part of the reason I say that is, if you found something or somebody brought something to you, how did you vet it? How do you know that anything you saw is true? Did you actually find some tapes, some communications and other stuff? Or did a friend tell you this, or a friend of a friend? How did you vet it? You're talking smack like Trump is in the Epstein files. Okay. Yeah. This has been being looked at for 20 years.
Right.
If you've discovered something that hasn't come out in 20 years, I'd say go ahead and post away. But be prepared, because the patriots out there, the Hollywood people out there, the technicians out there are pretty doggone good. And they can pixel count, and they know the new technology's on. They'll rip it to shreds. And if it's not real, if it's faked somehow, they're probably going to figure that out. And so then the point is, was Epstein right or wrong? If he knows something, then come out with it. If you don't know anything except by a friend of a friend, You can be a smart guy. You can still get snookered even by well-meaning people. Remember, the Southern District of New York people have been saying for years that they had Trump on all sorts of things, and it just wasn't true. So who are you listening to, Elon? Come on. Let's grow up. And if you want to do a new party, great, but don't try to build it on the bones of Trump. Okay? You can have honest disagreements, an honest difference of opinion, and we could have an honorable disagreement to get to the best answers for America. You don't have to do it over the dead bodies of your former friends. Am I saying it right? Do you guys think I'm on the right track on that?
Oh, absolutely. Juan, you and I were in Operation Just Cause. I don't know what capacity you were, but you know stuff. So, I was SEAL Team 6 guy. We knew that we were going to get Noriega. We knew that we were going to rescue Kurt Muse. All that was going to happen, but the timing was the thing. So I was there like 6 weeks before we actually did Operation Just Cause. And we were like looking at how this was
General Gary Harrell is the guy that went in and physically took physical custody of him and got him the hell out of there. Amazing hero, passed away last year. One of my,
absolutely amazing.
One of America's greatest guys. He was there at Black Hawk Down. The movie doesn't portray him correctly, but what a guy! Just amazing. Got his legs blown apart 3 days after the Black Hawk Down incident was completed, and survived, came all the way back, and had several good years before he passed away of cancer last year. So, great guy.
Yeah,
anyway, I'm sorry.
I still keep running. I ran into Colonel Sellers, who was there, and we were having a discussion. He was like, "I was at Operation in Panama," and I was like, "I was too." And then we remembered each other. So just like you and I, we knew each other. I guess we knew each other from a distance. So it's pretty amazing. But you know how that transpires is in its own time, it'll happen. Now, I've seen this when I worked in the CIA. I've seen this type of stuff being done. They set up a nice luxury tent for some of the people that they wanted to target, some of the sheiks and some of the royal family or so forth. They'd have nice music in there, band or whatever, and luxury carpets and pillows, and everybody sat around, and then came in the Russian girls, and then came in the alcohol, and they had rooms set up for them to go and do whatever they're going to do. And we know there was recording going on for that. This is not anything new. I mean, this is stuff that's going on for a long time. Whether they use that or not, remains to be seen. I think we probably see 3/4 of the government probably have to go away if they reveal that list. So I think that's one of the reasons why they don't. They want to get stuff done, and then in its right time, it will come out. Yeah. So another thing.
Think about this. Think about this, Michael. Roseanne and I both have friends who were somehow caught up in the trafficking. And what's the hardest thing to me is, and I get it completely, for those people that the reality of being trafficked as young people, and they have somehow survived into adulthood. How gripping is it for them? God. Because at the end of by the grace of God, and then there's a saying in mining. If there's a problem, if there's a collapse, usually in coal mining is the worst. The saying is last man out, first man in. That if you were the closest to whatever the disaster was, and it took you the longest to get out, you're the last man out, but you're the closest to not having made it. You're the first one back in to try and help the remaining people, because you're alive only but by the grace of God. And if you die, you die. But you got to get back in there and help the other ones that are trapped that could yet be saved. There's a sensitivity that's, divinely in the hearts of people that have been through this, to go back and help those that are caught up in the trafficking. So when you talk about not bringing justice, for the victims by going after the people, not just Epstein, but the people around him, and getting to the truth of what occurred. When you're talking about not doing that, that cuts. It bites hard, and so people want to somehow be able to know that the other ones that are still caught up are not forgotten. And I think that's the general what the angst is of this audience and the people that are upset at the Epstein thing, is that they can't stomach that justice wouldn't be served in these cases for the ones that are still that are the unnamed victims. Look, if you have thousands of kids and videos, tens of thousands of hours, there's a lot more than the Epstein victims named so far, and many of them clearly underage. So Trump is not this fiend, this monster who cares less about the kids and is only concerned about holding power himself. If you think before this is over that you're not going to see Trump honing in like a guided missile to get those people involved, you don't understand Trump.
That's right.
That look that Trump has when he's pissed and he's focused is coming for them, and he's not backing off for nothing. These people, in their dreams, Trump is going away, or they're going to get him on something and whatever. So, does that sound like what you're hearing, Roseanne?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Roseanne, you're
Yeah,
incredibly informed. I love your, I mean, Juan and I have all this military intel background, but you're just as informed as we are. And I believe that's from, your position, in, Hollywood and everything. So, things along the lines that we don't even know. So in the Hollywood scheme of things, of child trafficking stuff, what is going on with all this? How do we hold these people accountable?
Well, I'll say that because I was, playing a mom that on TV, where a lot of people identified with me as a mom, in Hollywood, and I learned what was happening because people saw me as a mom figure. I was kind of overwhelmed when all these kids came to me. And I realized then that I could never really be a part of Hollywood. Kids came to me and told me their stories. And I became involved with a woman there who saves children off the street named Dr. Lois Lee. And I've had her on my show, and you should research her because she used to take this van. She had a van. We went down to Hollywood Boulevard at 1 a.m. This is so incredible. I really want to tell this here. I won't take up much time, but
take as much time as you want. This is why we're here, Roseanne.
Yeah,
I want to hear
here
the
for
story.
The children, definitely.
Oh, it's just so amazing. She is a woman of integrity and of God, and what she's done is unbelievable. Please just Google and search her. And I interviewed her. You can find that interview on Roseanne Barr podcast because she's one of my heroines. And I met Kathy O'Brien through her when we were doing a speech about child trafficking in 2006. But she would take this van, and it's called Children of the Night. Anyway, we take this van down to Hollywood Boulevard, and I hope I don't start crying because I look ugly when I cry. But anyways, she opened the van. She had a bullhorn, and she would go, if you want to get away from your pimp and you are being used by a pimp, run to this van now. And they'd run and they'd jump in. And she took them to a place that nobody knew about that she operated. And she would save these children's lives. She had 80% success rate with these kids. And I mean, they're prostitutes, so they're not regular kids, They have that grift in them because they've been abused all their life, and they're not like normal.
Well,
kids.
they've been prostituted. They oftentimes they didn't get into this willingly. They got conned, roped in, were in some kind of desperation or need, and then next thing you know, they're being prostituted, and I
Well,
think
the
there's
real
a
story,
difference.
Juan, let me tell you something different. From the moment they're born in their family, they're molested and abused. And they're largely, this is the truth, and they're sold by their parents to other people. And they end up on the street because they don't know anything else. And all they look for is the angle to, of the basic of survival, to eat, to sleep in a place where they won't be bludgeoned to death. And she would save their lives. And so many of them now, I mean, they are upstanding citizens in this world because of this one woman.
Beautiful.
And when I would go there and talk to these kids, and that was a large part of what I did when I was, doing my show. And just to see that spark of humanity lit by love and people of character, it was just the greatest part of my everything in Hollywood. But to hear the stories and to hear who was using them, I could never I could never be part of
You
Hollywood
know what would
because
be a
it was the police chief, it was the lawyers, it was the
yeah.
agents, it was this, they were 15 years old. It was just disgusting. It was a pit of hell. And so I learned the story of what was happening from the victims, not from the perpetrators. And
You
so
know what would
that's
be interesting, Roseanne?
what.
I don't know if it would be possible, but I'll bet you if we asked, some of those kids would love to come back, now 10, 15.
Lost the hearing.
Probably talking about how maybe some of them will come back and speak about their experiences. That would be pretty
Oh,
impressive.
they do. They do
Yeah.
all over the place with Dr. Lee. She
Oh,
does
wow.
it. She does the work,
Yeah, I'd love to have her on and have
and
her talk
you
about that.
should. You really should.
Yeah.
And these kids now, they have joined her program,
Drugs
and they're
Wow.
running the
rapidly.
program and getting other kids, because as we know, there are more child prostitutes now than ever before, and
Mm.
they're all, and America is the breadbox of it. It's
Capital.
happening
Yeah,
here
that.
more than South America, where they had that movie, Freedom, whatever it was. It
Sound of Freedom, yeah.
Sound of
Sound of
freedom.
Freedom. It's in America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
It's
and
in
even
every
there,
neighborhood. It's in
yeah,
every neighborhood.
even there, of course, the issue was that one of the kids, the boy, was being brought into the United States, and they got him at the border in the movie, and so, um, certainly that has kids know that's out there, and that storyline, and that are in these situations, and they're looking for somebody to come over the cavalry to come over the hill to come get them. And that's why I think it might be really cool if we were able to get some of the kids that have survived, not for a month or two or a year or two, but, 10, 15, 20 years ago, they went through this, and now they've got their own families, and they've made a
We should make
to
that hookup, because their
sense of
stories,
future.
their stories of like
Yeah.
never being able to trust anyone,
Yeah.
and to learn to trust her. I mean, it's better than any Hollywood movie you've ever
Got
heard of.
quite a gift. Yeah. It's
The
amazing.
opening
Well,
of a
that's what I'm
heart,
saying.
the
I'd love to
opening of a
get to her.
damaged heart is just so God.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Well, and
Definitely.
the
We're
other
going to
thing
do
is,
it.
I'll bet you one of the things that I think we would find is that I bet you to the last story, every one of them, there's been a divine connection somehow, that this didn't just happen in a vacuum, religiously, spiritually. I'd love to
Right.
hear those stories. I'd love to see if we could even reach out to her, and she knows some of the people that we could get to pretty directly, and reach out, and just have a conclave, bring them together, and I'd like to have them in the same group, because
I'm down. I can make that happen, and we can make that happen. People need
well,
to hear
because
what's real.
think about how their interaction between them, if it's just one of them in an interview, it's not the same as when you get a group together like that, and they kind of reverberate off each other, and common themes might come out like that. I'd love to see that, and I'll bet you we could make that happen, Roseanne. I think it'd be
Yeah,
actually
we'll get
important.
Kathy too, because you were talking about
Kathy O'Brien,
Noriega.
yeah.
Kathy was used as a mule for Noriega. There's
Well,
so
and
much
Nori,
we could do to kind of let American people know what the real war is about. And I was going to say about Musk. Musk was raised in that crap.
Yep.
Musk was raised in that satanic ritual abuse circle.
Yep.
So that's why I've always been looking at him as, when is he going to turn? Because I don't think he's completely healed. I don't.
well, I've certainly heard allegations that I don't know any specifics myself, other than it's out there floating. So he'd have to answer it for himself. But we certainly know other people that have been in that position. And there's a particular Hollywood star female that we've talked on this before, and she was raised in another. Her parents were from another country, and came here. And a fair-haired person in Hollywood. She was, it was part of the operation. They favored her for those reasons, and that's a common theme. That's why when stars do step away, like you or some of the other folks, Gibson or Caviezel or somebody like that, it stands out because unfortunately the majority seem to have gone along with it. That's why things like the Diddy stuff could happen. And that seems to be, under fire right now. And I don't think Hollywood, even 2-3 years from now, is anything close to what it has been for many, many, many decades. It's starting to morph or go away, go to other places. The movie business in Hollywood will, probably still be there, but be very, very weakened within that whole thing. But
yeah. So, along those lines, P. Diddy, that's another whole story with Epstein as well, along the same lines. So all of this is being revealed in its own. I think maybe he's already saw justice. Some people have been saying that. It's a possibility, I guess. But let's move on to other issues like Israel and Iran. So Iran is basically, I think, still in survival mode. They haven't been taken down completely. I see them at some point being taken down. Israel, save for last. Why is that? Is it because the connection with America that's so strong? We have to clean up our mess, and then we'll clean them up. What do you guys think, Roseanne?
Oh my God, this one's a big old rabbit hole for me.
And you were good at this, yeah. You were so good.
So rabbit hole because I'm so, just into it. But people I talked to in Iran, which is why I wrote that tweet, was two journalists I was speaking to in Iran about, the Planet of the Apes government they got over there, which is a militarized police force that, if women show their hair, they just shoot them in the streets. But the journalists that I talked to in Iran are saying that Iran is just killing people right and left in the streets. They're panicked. Their military guard or whatever it is, they're just shooting to kill anybody walking down the street wrong. They're in a panic mode and they are turning on the citizens, which they've always done, but they said it's even more crazy now. So I can't believe that people in this country are defending that, but they are. But I think we did a big move on them, and I think we're changing the complexion of the entire Middle East. Trump, and I think that everybody does what Trump tells them to do over there. And remember the capitulation tour? Remember that when Trump went to Saudi Arabia and they gave him the sword dance, pretty much made him king. And then he went to Israel right after that, and they you know, have like what 7 million presidents, so that's a hard thing. But they capitulated too. And then he went to the Vatican, and then he went to the royals. I think the whole world capitulated to Trump because I think maybe this is what I think, and other people thought so too. Juan, I don't know, but I think he took some of that Epstein information and went to the people in charge of all these places and goes, "Looky here, you don't want this out. You better do what I tell you to do." And I think they did. And I think the bunker bombs and all that is evidence of the fact that, Trump, he's got something going, which is good. It's good for America, especially good for America, because America is the highest moral ground that exists in the world, and Trump is the head of it. And I think, it's all a show. But I mean, the news. I say the news is just a show to cover the real news that's happening. But Trump took control of everything, and I think that he did it with the information that they got from Epstein, which I don't think he's dead, but I'm really down the rabbit hole. But I think he went to all of them and goes, "Look at here, look at you here with this thing here and what you did. Now you are going to do what I say." I mean, I think it's a God thing, and it needed to happen, and it is happening, and everybody does just what Trump tells them to do. How could they not? We're the strongest, most powerful nation in the world, and he's the greatest president we've ever had. I love him. He does dumb shit, but that's what makes him human and lovable. And he knows what he's doing, and he's not going to come out and tell us at 3 p.m. we're going to. People are stupid here. They think everything's like TV, but I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's reshaping. I think he's getting rid of a boatload of pedophiles that rule everything. I know he's doing that. I know he's freeing children. I know we had subterranean warfare. And I say, the USAID exposed all those NGOs, and all that money goes, so much of that money goes through the UN, and it's used in Gaza. And as I say, I think Gaza, everything that was going on there was the center of the deep state. I do, because when you look at all the tributaries that run there and all the tunnels that trafficked all those children through, all those weapons that that Obama left in Afghanistan for a particular purpose, that went through those tunnels, that went up to Iran and down to the Houthis, everything. I mean, to me, I think Obama is, I always knew, and that's why I ran against him for president in 2012. I knew he was I called him a used nuke salesman. I go, boy, there's nothing when you got a used car salesman running for president. This looking guy's a used nuke salesman, which he is. And
Oh my
he's just
God.
the worst of the worst thing we ever had in office there.
I can hear it now. Well, what's your budget? Okay, so are you looking for like just field grade, or do you want premium, and can you afford it? Let's do a credit check on you. Let's run it right now.
No shit. And then he's like, "Hey,
I got to talk to my supervisor. I got to talk to my supervisor to authorize that deal."
No shit. And then remember, he took what's their name's land. He threw up the Bundy Ranch and all that crap, and he took their uranium and give it to the. He's a used uranium nuke salesman. He wanted to blow up everything. He don't give a damn. He's one of the richest men in the world. He is the devil. I swear to God. I think he's the Antichrist. And a lot of people agree with me.
I've got a special right over here. Let's go over across the lot. The special is right over here. This is perfect for you.
And UN Agenda 30 is about the one world government, and nobody knows this. Nobody cares.
2030,
in our country, they're just like, I need to lose 4 inches off my ass. That's all I care about. But anyway, so he, I forget what I'm saying. I just could
We
go
were
off on
distracted here. I
Obama
was laughing
forever.
so hard. You had me laughing so hard. I was distracted. I almost
But
fell in
it's
the river
true.
here.
This guy was created in a lab. He's created in a
Yeah.
damn lab, and his job was, okay, you're going to go over there and rob the U.S. Treasury blind. I mean, that's what your job is. Leave them with nothing. Particularly rob the black community blind and leave them with nothing, because they will applaud you all the way because you got the skin color. We're going to divide everybody on the skin color, and they're going to applaud you while you do it. It is so demonic. And oh yeah, I was saying UN agenda, their one world order, it was the one world government and the one world religion, which nobody's talking about, but I always talk about. Why are these people screaming? Anyway, oh, they're voting. Anyway, the one world religion is Chrislam, which was, and I was in the left and I was part of it. I was big time in the left before I even got famous. And Chrislam was pioneered by Jeremiah Wright, and it is a hybrid religion, and that's what they want for the one world religion when they take over. Chrislam. It's not Christianity, and it's not quite Islam either. It's a whole new thing that you hear. You hear King what's his face Charles. He talks all Chrislamic, and so does the Pope. They're all talking Chrislam, and it's just demonic. And
Yeah.
Obama was in that church, and he helped to refine that.
Well, and of course, part of the issue is, uh, I've talked about this at other times, but if you look at what Albert Pike
Yeah,
wrote about in his book Morals and Dogma, it was about creating a one world government. And
right,
in order to get there, they had to have three world wars. And the third world war was a religious war.
right.
Christians, Jews, and Muslims fighting each other. And at the end of that war, which is really a propaganda campaign, a training campaign, to make people detest any of those religions and to embrace a one world religion where there'd be no more wars, no more fighting, because everybody'd have one religion. And anybody that's still fighting, for their brand would have to be eliminated. And so when you look at what's going on in the Mideast and here in America, and by the way, look, it's a Masonic thing. America's capital. Face it. You can argue about it, but the reality is, it's all built around primarily Masonic themes. That
Yeah,
club, that culture, is at the heart of how America was built out. After the Constitution, there was a lot of conflict within the American people in that captured operation, still is today. So, with that in mind, I mean, it's not like it's a deniable thing. It's so ever
no,
present. The symbology is so embedded in everything Washington D.C. and federal. With that in mind, the reach, the influence into these religious circles, Muslim, Christian, and Jew, there's a hidden hand working all
yep,
three of them against each other
that's
in
right.
order to pull off this move towards a one world government. So you can't say it's just the Zionists and all this other
Yeah,
uh, that are behind pushing that theme themselves are being manipulated and controlled with propaganda in the way they view the world. And propaganda artists understand what they're doing. They're trying to manipulate one against the other. So then you have the ones that's all the Catholic Church and the Jesuits and everything else. Well, there's a certain reality to that. And the same thing within the Christian community. The Christian community that uh, says that we just have to go along with anything that somebody in either the other religions does or doesn't do that protects political Israel,
yep,
which is not the same as the Israel of the Abrahamic thing. And it's the three Abrahamic religions. All of them claim their father back to Abraham. So, the attack is on that. The devil himself's behind it. Come on, man. Don't be easily propagandized. It's an attack of Satan to cause us to kill each other off. and destroy
Well,
each
it's
other.
all a
That's
civil
what it's
war
going.
it's all civil wars inside of every group to turn brother against brother, sister against sister, mother against father. That's how they control everything. But, speaking as a Jew, the worst enemies of the Jewish people who want to live on top of their sacred burial grounds in their historical homeland forever. The worst enemies against that are, left-wing Jews. It's a civil war, and it's to divide and conquer. And we have to stand. I mean, I'm religious, so I don't have any doubts. But the Bible says we'll go back there and we'll make it the desert bloom like the rose, which is
Yep.
happening. It has
Yep.
happened. And it's in the Bible. And boy, do they hate that. They hate that anything in the Bible would be true. They hate the Bible. They hate God. They hate all believers, and they're coming hard for all believers. So that's what I think the war is that we have to cling tight to the right belief. And they've messed it all up saying it's we're supposed to make I'm talking as a Jewish person. And when I see all these Jewish people and all they talk about is making the world a better place, that is just bullshit. That is not what it says at all. It says make yourself better. Repent, get close to God, do what you are supposed to do, and then the world you see will improve. You don't go out there and fight for, you don't go fight for, things you have nothing to do with. You don't go speak for people that, I hate the left. You know how first they silence everybody that could speak for themselves so they can speak for them. They're so evil and so stupid, but we have to hold fast to what's true. And it's hard to find what's true if you're not a believer. That's just the bottom line of it. If you don't have the spiritual strength to withstand this fire that we're all going through, and that spiritual strength being God and the love of God towards our fellow human beings. Like Jesus said, we're here to bring love and to love our neighbor as we do ourselves. That's very old Jewish stuff too. But that's what we're here for. We're not here to fight against artificial intelligence. We're here to make ourselves better and to do the right thing and to join each other. No, we can wrestle everything back from evil and fix it if we just come together in love. It ain't that hard.
Well, the scripture that comes to mind as you were talking, I was thinking about Christ, where he's telling the Pharisees, don't worry about the splinter in someone else's eye, worry about the log in your own eye. And of course, it's a matter of perspective. A splinter, if it's right there on your eyeball, is like a log, right? It's just, it's the same thing in both places, but your perspective is a lot different. If you get yourself on track, then you can, be there available to help somebody else.
Well, then you'll see what the problem is. Because we're just when you're all messed up, you only see the world messed up. It's all you. You only see you, and then you project all your crap. But when you find love and peace and connection inside, you see the world different. And I'm speaking in first person. I see the world different than I did when I was when I was in damage.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the other thing too. In your situation, it's been a journey. It's not like once and done. It takes some time. Even the Roseanne that I know now from, half a decade ago, you've continued to, morph, adjust, change, uh, you know, uh, spiritually. You're a much more mature person, much different. It's so fun to have the talks that you and I have had, and that should give hope to everybody else out there that it's an ongoing process. Take a breath.
Yeah, once you turn
God's
on
not
once
finished
you
with us
turn
yet.
on the light, You're supposed to get better and better. That's what life is for. You're supposed to get more smarter, better, and stronger, not dumber
Yeah.
and weaker, for God's
Well, and I
sake.
think same thing with you, Michael. I mean, the things that we've both gone through, where we have similar things that have happened, and you have to do processing, and there's um, a spiritual side to this. Look at all the conflicts America and the world are in right now. You could just about go down the list with every single crisis that we're facing right now and that Trump is facing. There is a spiritual side to every single one of them that is really somehow the core for all of us. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
That's what I think is happening all over the world. And I think they say they were saving Israel for last for that reason, because, man, I always call, if you knew and you went there like I did, because I have family living there, the left over there the left in Israel is worse than the left here. And their justice system there, well, they had these judges sitting up there. They didn't even have any constitution to where people could have any say in how law worked. It was just a bunch of elitist judges sitting up there on their thrones saying, "Oh no, that isn't going to happen." And the people, when they tried to fix it so that the people would have a voice in the justice system, the leftists went crazy because they loved that elitist fiat stuff. Like, when we overturned Roe v. Wade in this country, that was such a great thing for our country because that law was made by judicial fiat. It was not made like laws are supposed to be made by the people.
well, and
And
that's why
that's why
Justice
people were
Thomas
happy.
in writing the decision said an earlier court erred in its judgment, and that this was not constitutionally defensible. So an earlier court veered away from the Constitution, and they were there to correct that. And there's no federal authority to do what they did. This is a state matter. So, the judges, I mean, if the judges was the most powerful position, Trump should have ran for a judge, not for
Yeah,
president, right?
yeah, for a lower court judge, he would.
Yeah, right.
But in Israel, there, I was astonished because the left, which is mostly in Tel Aviv, there, I call them Obama Jews, and they are. They just love Obama over there. And they were like, no, we cannot have the people have a voice here. We've got to have these elitist professors and judges telling us what to do. That's what they were friggin' in the streets demanding, that they have, rulers. And I mean, it's just crazy, but it
Roseanne,
is.
you just said something. Let me just stop for a second here and think about this for a second.
But that's
You
why
know,
they say save Israel for last, because they got to bring some democracy there, some real constitutional rights for the people, some
Wow.
religious freedom, which, in Israel, when they go to public schools, they won't allow them to teach anything about Judaism, because the left is the captured client state of Obama's left. And that's why they say Israel last. And I'm glad to be able to say that to y'all, because that's the truth.
Hmm.
But what are you going to
well,
ask?
you know what?
Thank you.
Here's something that you're calling them Obama Jews, but you
Obama
and
Jews.
I, and a lot, what's going to come out, especially even over the next many months, but into next year, and then when we get to the trials, a couple of years from now, because it'll take a couple of years for everything to go through the process to get to the trials themselves, even though we have people in custody that'll start very shortly. But here's the thing: the Obama administration was heavily weighted towards Iranians. So think about this.
Valerie Jarrett
You
was
had,
born in Iran.
yes, and then you had
And she's
family
Obama's
members.
brain.
Right. So think about this. And yet you have Jews in Israel all propagandized. It's all about Obama. So on the one hand, they love Obama and they're blind. They're somehow um, missing something in their calculations. Here's Obama sending all of the pallets of cash to Iran, favoring that they would get a nuke by the way that they conduct their affairs with Iran, so that Iran can get a working nuke. Well, where has the Iranian leadership said over and over and over again that they want to send the first nuke right there to Israel? So there's a disconnect. And by the way, in the course of that, how does that serve this Albert Pike satanic vision? So Albert Pike wrote Morals and Dogma in green ink. And he said it was to honor the spirit that taught him all these things. Well, the spirit that taught him, Satan, Lucifer, the devil, it says right in the middle of the book, Morals and Dogma, let there be no question, the God whom we serve is Lucifer. So, and so he's saying Lucifer was also green. Well, in the garden, Satan, Lucifer, the devil, for he hid amongst the green leaves of the garden, waiting for that moment to approach Eve when Adam wasn't around. And so the green man, green revolution, all sorts of things. But with that in mind, Morals and Dogma, talking about bringing everything to bear so that you could have a third world war. Obama, as a creation of the deep state, and by the way, Brennan created the false history for Obama over at CIA. And he's coming under heavy attack this second.
I love it.
He'll be one of the first arrested.
I'm so happy it's happening to Brennan. He's the worst thing that ever
Brennan
happened.
and Comey, they were tag teaming through this stuff. But then think about it, and how incredible that you were targeted so precisely for your little joke statement about Jarrett, which is true. She does look like the gal from Planet of the Apes, but it's just an undeniable fact.
I captioned a meme, and then they immediately censored that meme so nobody could see what I meant.
Everybody here should retweet that out now. Retweet it 1 trillion times now.
It's in the movie that, I got a movie coming out, I don't know, next week. And it's all about my tweet, and it shows the meme. Thank God I'm finally able to explain what it meant. Because they look like two peas in a pod. And that was what I was commenting on, that, in Iran and in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood is, the militarized police force cracking down on the human being, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happening in America now, too. And I saw it was happening in 2017. And I said it because I just wanted to fight. I did not want to see that happen on American soil. And I tried to say what I could say to the best of my ability to stop it. And it makes me sick to see it here. And it is here. It's here big time.
Well, but think about the spiritual side. I'm just hung up on this for the moment, how you have, Tel Aviv being the worst, you have this component of, people that have been propagandized by the deep state, in my opinion. And yet they, against their own best wishes, it's like the Gary Larson cartoons. He has a bunch of slugs at a political fest, and the lead slug is up at the podium, and the people are shouting. The slugs are shouting from the audience, "More salt! More salt! More salt!" If you've ever put salt on a slug, that's not. But sometimes these groups, these audiences are literally, they don't even realize how they're, begging to, be destroyed. And the devil wants us to self terminate, if you will. And here,
I know, because that's what I said. I said that yesterday. I was on Benny Johnson, and I said, they want to destroy what a human being is, because a human being has the desire to live, for one thing. And they don't have the desire to live when they go out Queers for Palestine. Are they shitting me? they want their own death. They're under lemming programming when they're saying these things like it's all self-annihilation. That's what they want. They want that
Well,
for us. They're not
think
human.
about this. Think about this too. Iran. Uh, uh, Congressman Kurt Warner and I are friends, and one of the things that their head of their Russian nuclear program over with Putin had him come over to Russia, took him into their version of our Cheyenne Mountain, showed him all the nukes, and said, "We need help. We're missing. We can't track literally well over 100." What they call demolition nukes, smaller nukes that are about as small as you can get and still reach criticality. As a certain size you have to have. And so they were missing those going back many decades. And it was their statement to Kurt that they believed that the majority of those went to Iran.
Yes.
So with that in mind, think of hundreds of nukes. Now they have a shelf life and they have to be maintained. And so certain things have to be serviced in order to keep them viable or to make them viable again so they don't fizzle. And that's what Krylov, the Russian general who was Putin's very close personal friend, that he trusted, 1,000%. And Krylov is the guy that got killed when the motor scooter blew up. Western intelligence agencies had to coordinate that. The Ukrainians couldn't do it without very advanced satellite intelligence to get that to happen at the right moment. And so with that in mind, we have Iran in this central position where for decades now, they've been building arms, missiles, and sending them across Syria into Lebanon and Jordan. Oh, they not successfully in Jordan. That was shut down quite a long time ago, but into Lebanon. And then into Gaza and building out this threat. Gaza had about 100,000 different of these missiles hidden throughout the complexes and like that. And Lebanon had about 300,000. And so, it's not a minor threat to Israel. And if they did have some of these smaller nukes, if they could get them serviced, if the material that Krylov was tracking that he had to be killed over because the Russian system had the proper things to service these nukes. And of course, remember before Trump came in, all of those drones were getting certain background information. And as Trump said, it's obvious what they're looking for. They're looking for nukes, some missing nuclear materials. And so that ongoing threat, when Trump bombed the nuclear plants there in Iran, the allegation has been that they were trying to duplicate what Russia had so that they could service. It wasn't about making a new bomb. It was about servicing some nuclear weapons that they already had but needed to be brought current. And so that's why there was the urgency. In reality, Trump, for America, for the world, Israel couldn't take those bunkers out. They didn't have the right to, etc. But the threat wasn't just against Israel. The threat was to the whole world. Those could show up anywhere in the world. And Iran, they're doing stuff in Venezuela. When the vote stuff comes out, and the guys that we have in physical protective custody here in the U.S. right now, when their story comes out, and pieces of that are going to break very shortly, Iran's right in the thick of that, flipping the vote. Yep. How did Obama get in there? They were doing it long before you got to Trump. So Iran's right in there with sealing the vote in America, not just at 2020, but for decades or more too earlier. But they were doing the same thing.
Yeah, Juan, on the nuke thing, when I was in the CIA for 11 years and the last part of my career in the SEAL teams, we were hearing that Russia had lost those nukes and that Iran had gotten them. And they were on the verge of using them, but they thought it would be too much of a backlash against them. They were going to use them in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They were going to use them in Iraq and other places. Everywhere that I went, it was Iranian influence, whether it was Lebanon, Yemen, Iraq, Afghanistan. They are the culprit. Now, for other people say they're not. I can't understand. I've been there. I know that it's Iran is a problem.
Yes, and
Did y'all know that Hitler? Did y'all know that Hitler named it Iran from Persia?
Oh,
Did
I
you
didn't
know
know that.
Hitler? Yeah, and you know what Iran means in Farsi? Aryan.
What? Yes, it's
Aryan.
Aryan. Yeah, yeah, and of course that's German, and so yes,
Wow.
very much so.
It's
So
the
again,
Fourth Reich. I mean, when you talk about the New World Order, it really is the Fourth Reich. The WEF, all of that stuff is just an outgrowth of all that. I always say, well, Germany lost the war, but the Nazis won. And they came to America and they took over our space program, our medical, our psychiatric, and so much more. And they've had
well, let me say it
they've had a
correctly.
free hand to start World War III for years since Operation Paperclip.
Well, they were sifted in under the auspices again. Now think about this: they were sifted into the U.S. intelligence and science and university systems and businesses. In fact, Nixon was a lawyer in the Navy, and so when he was brought back from the Pacific, he was personally assigned every single paperclip scientist, all of these people that we put into our system, he personally had to authorize where they were parked, including with Trump's uncle, who was over at MIT, as they parked these Nazis. But now think about this for a second. The reason, the logic behind bringing these German intelligence officers, by the way, our intelligence operations were modified by bringing in Nazis to help us to get them working better, and where they knew all this background intelligence aimed at what? Russia.
NATO, totally Nazi. Yep.
See, and so the whole scam all the way along has been make Russia the bad guy to justify all these wild things that they were doing inside the U.S. system, the Russia U.S. space race and nuclear race and all sorts of things, hydrogen bomb race. That was us being played one against the other. And to justify the massive continued military spending, the military industrial state, as Eisenhower stated, which is now morphed into the military industrial media corporate space. It's something way different even than what existed at the end of the 50s. But Russia has been used as this counterpoint to justify all these things. Look at how Russia's being used even right now on the political side to justify the abuse by the CIA and FBI of President Trump and his supporters, as though he was colluding with Russia. And then at the end of the day, who's really pushing that theme? It's not even Germany, although they're in there. It's the Brits. It's being used in this coordinated effort, and in order to put us against each other, including in the religious area. That's part of this whole thing.
Yes, so, it is. It's a war for hearts and minds.
I spent a lot of hours on it. I'm trying to stop because I could get lost in that.
Me too.
Yeah.
But it is always a war for hearts and minds. And when you're living in a unified field of bullshit and there's no truth coming in, I just call people captive. I mean, people are just captive. They're captured. And so I don't, you can't hate people. You have to hate the agent and fight the agent. You have to fight the source. It's not people. People are just, they'll accept what they hear without even vetting it. But it's good that we're doing this show today and going deep.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very impressive, Roseanne. So first time together, I think you're amazing. Always thought you're amazing. Juan, always amazing.
I think you're amazing. I always watch you, and you do good work, and you talk about real good stuff, and I enjoyed being with you and talking to your wife as well. It's great to know that we are all living here at the same time, that we get to share this space. A great awakening time with Trump as our great leader.
I agree. I agree. So, any final last words before we sign
Well,
off?
let me just go
Yeah.
one other place that we haven't gone so
Okay.
far. If we have just a couple minutes,
Awesome.
the finance side, the situation, what's going on right this second. Um, if you remember, of course, Trump brought the military in, had the huge parade, all the fireworks. Then a few days later, he plants the two flags on the front lawn of the White House, north and south. We're going to own this thing, okay? The 88-foot tall flagpoles, which have meaning. 8, is this infinity sign. It's also the number of the new day, 7 days in a week, and the beginning of the new week is the 8th day, new beginnings. There's all sorts of symbology in that, even the distance between the flagpoles, which nobody has looked at yet, and how much is below the surface to support the flagpole. All these things come into a calculation because Trump is sending symbolic messages out, and people are getting tuned in. Now they see them when they maybe weren't seeing them before. Melania yesterday. She's the flagpole, the flagstaff of America, in this language of flags. Okay, semaphore. And so when she's wearing different outfits publicly, she's presenting a certain image that people can read into. Well, she wore military type colors, garb yesterday, and she's beautiful, so people tend to pay attention to her. But what was the signal? This is going as the conversation was about Congress going after FISA, and about one thing that is not, I don't think, widely known. During the course of this coming week, we will likely have a special prosecutor named related to the China side of the vote interference in 2020. And this is huge because once you have a special prosecutor, if they find threads, they can start in one place and continue right on to other things. They're not heavily restricted. And this special prosecutor is going to have license to go look at things that are what this audience wants to hear about. Starting with Comey and Brennan, and what they did to block the public becoming aware of the China side of what was going on with the vote interference in 2020. Comey testified before Congress in the summer of 2020 that there was no sign in any of the fields that the FBI was looking at, no sign of any foreign interference in the electoral process coming up on the election. Well, in the same week, whistleblowers inside the FBI leaked out information because they were so pissed. So white hats leaked information about the driver's licenses that were being counterfeited in China and sent to the U.S. to allow people to go vote in very specific districts. These driver's licenses had addresses on them within specific districts so that and faces and everything else, so these people could go in and vote to flip the vote. The specific ones here, in Illinois area. But the ones that you've heard about, that was only a sliver of the ones that had been tracked and seen and were reported by very high-level informants that had been very well screened and vetted. And they're saying, no, it was somewhere between 1 million and 1.5 million false IDs that were created for that aspect of the vote interference in 2020. So now, if a special prosecutor is going to be named, which he is, that's going to be epic because that starts the whole thing. And the other thing that occurred this last week, the FISA stuff. See, there's 3 things that happened during the Carter administration that everybody should be aware of.
Yes.
That fit this moment. Okay, Carter, Mr. Goody Two Shoes. And by the way, he didn't get a special note in the letters at the Bush funeral. I think there's a certain naivety, but Carter's mom had a seat on the Council of Foreign Relations.
Right.
She was fully in
Wow.
the club with the Rockefeller Club. A lot of people don't know that. And
Hmm.
so Carter was kind of a prop while other stuff was going on behind the scenes. And remember, Bush came back as we didn't have an ambassador to China after Nixon went to China. So he went to China as the business liaison for America to find ways to, help them set up their businesses and enter the free world and interact with us and like that. So Bush went over and did that. When he came back, this amazing businessman, ambassador to China, on the business side, they make him, and in the wake of the church committee hearings, which occurred during the Ford administration, where all the family jewels of CIA were exposed and all the, you know, giving people drugs and seeing how they perform, average citizens that had no idea they were getting hit with LSD and things like that. The psychiatric stuff, the overthrowing of governments in South America and things like that. When the church committee hearings completed, they had to kind of order the CIA and other intelligence operation functions. And Bush was made under a Democrat, president, Carter. He becomes head of the CIA. Okay, and in the course of his time at the CIA, he was putting over information to Carter about critical changes that needed to be made. The first one was they needed a FISA court. The FISA court was created under Carter, where it was totally secret. They could go out and get warrants to monitor and look at American citizens, and nobody could be aware of it. So the FISA court was created by executive order under Carter. Then you had the Inspector General's office created. And the Inspector General, outside of Congress itself and any judicial process with appointed people, can go in and turn on money or turn off money into any project.
Right.
Under the auspices that they're looking for fraud or waste or whatever. And later that was used in order to essentially move all of the military contracting from about 50 million military contractors down to 5.
Right.
That's where the Lockheed L'Oreal stuff happened under Clinton and things like that. It's a long story. But the other thing is that was when 1978, 1979, under Carter, SES, Senior Executive Service, was also created. And that's the shadow government. Every time Cheney had a fake heart attack, where was he at? Well, he was running the shadow government. He used to laugh about it. Okay. And that we're fighting right now. People being put on the payroll. You're an FBI officer. And yet all of a sudden you're getting extra money beyond your regular pay to work with SES and even to retirement pay. And so who are you really working for? If SES is the higher agency and they're asking you to do special things over at the FBI, are you working for the FBI? Are you working for SES? Go look at the story of FBI agent Friend. That's actually how his last name is actually spelled. He's down in Florida. And his experience with the SES controlled FBI officers in the system down there and all through the system, senators, congressmen. They're a senator or congressman and they're on the payroll of SES. Business people or Elons of the world getting money from senior executive service under the auspices of maintaining continuity between elected administrations in government. Okay, in other words, the glue that holds everything together while we play politics with Republicans and Democrats. Go look at their website. They're the keystone at the top of the archway, holding the two sides of the arch together, the Democrats and the Republicans, if you will. All that was created under Carter and led to what happened then with Homeland Security after 9/11. And by the way, when you get through with 9/11, you're going to find out, yes, there was cooperation and working with intelligence agencies from outside the country. Some pretty nasty stuff is going to be in there. And it's not just Israel. It's U.S. intelligence agencies, British intelligence agencies, NATO operations. Remember, the day that this happened,
NATO,
there
yeah,
was
for
a
real.
NATO operation. Exactly what occurred. Aircraft used as guided missiles. And so our military stood down when this was happening, as though it was part of the operation, and didn't go after those aircraft till the first aircraft hit the building. So again, it's not just one. Don't be. We have to be careful not to be baited into the wrong fight with the wrong people, where we're being propagandized to fight each other. When at the end of the day, there's these hidden actors with their deep state plans, the shadow governments, because there's the Serco side over in England that ties into another group out of the Mideast. And they're all playing us to get what they want, which is a third world war, after which they get their one world government. That's their dream. And Trump is fighting to stop the killing. You know, the killing feeds the demons, the blood.
Yes.
The bloodlust feeds the demons. So if you look at everything Trump's doing, he didn't start any wars in his first term. And then right now, his thing with Zelensky, let's just call a ceasefire, no more killing. You guys are both losing about 1,000 people a week.
Yep.
Let's just stop that. And 3 million dead in Ukraine since the start. And then all the displaced people. Trump's saying, just stop the killing. Because you're feeding the demons, Lucifer himself and all of his
That's
agents.
true. It's bloodlust, and it runs on blood. It can't get enough blood.
And you mentioned earlier Roe versus Wade. Again, the bloodlust. These demons need the blood for the energy, the life energy. They need the blood. The devil himself needs the blood. What Trump's doing is he's cutting off the blood supply. And then the money, which is the mother's milk of politics. That's why you had USAID and things like that. And that's why this next phase, you see it coming on right now. That's all of this conversation is to get to this one point. After the flags were put up at the White House on the high ground in the swamp, then Trump has security fencing put around the White House.
Yeah.
And then he has security fencing put around only one other location.
Federal Reserve.
No, it wasn't the Federal Reserve.
No?
The Treasury.
Yeah.
Oh, Treasury, yeah. Okay.
Treasury is the constitutional money. And in the same week that he starts a full-on assault, he's been against Powell over at the Federal Reserve all the way along, the fiat money. But immediately as they're doing this, Trump is just all in. And he's calling out Powell. It's time for him to resign. He's not giving us, everybody else gets low interest rates in the international Federal Reserve system. It's not just here in the U.S., the bankers system all over the world. We have the highest interest rates of just about anybody.
Right.
Switzerland's down there at 0.25%, Japan at 0.5%. Come on, man. And we're, up here at like 4.5%. Why? It's a tax on America, okay, by this private banker club. No more federal than Federal Express. That's the Federal Reserve. A con from day one.
Yeah.
So Trump puts the security fencing around the Treasury. Why? Because he's going to defend a constitutional dollar, which is based on gold and silver, and begin the move over to that. And he's going to force these guys into a very position. So there's even meetings coming off. There's people reporting that Powell is right on the brink of resigning, which Trump has called for, and could even happen this week. A special prosecutor named in the situation with the blocking information about China being involved in the vote stuff that leads to everything, starting with Brennan and Comey. And then the third thing is there's meetings in the White House, one of them that's scheduled right now with high Treasury officials. I don't even want to say the name, although I know them as far up as you get, involving some of the money that's out there coming back into the U.S., but not coming back in through the Federal Reserve System, coming back into the Treasury.
Yeah.
This is huge. People have no concept how big this is. This is monstrous. And it's the first wave of a number of similar things that are about to happen, pushing the Treasury side, which is the constitutional money, which is the people's money and protective system, versus the banker money that's International Club and the Federal Reserve. It's a very big deal. I don't want to take too long on it, but that's
But
what's coming right now.
Wow, whirlwind,
you
dude.
know,
Good job.
everybody's always talking about Gasara and Nasara, and we talk about this one, but it's like Trump Sara, right?
Yeah, that's one way to say it, I guess. Yeah. It's not going to be what most people have recognized.
Right.
We're moving to a metals-based system, and it's a process. And then, of course, if you don't have metal, what happened to our reserves at Fort Knox and other things. So there's a certain way you have to look at this, and then there's a time factor in filling those coffers back up, so that you actually do have a receipt for gold or silver on deposit. You don't have a fiat that's backed by nothing but oil that's based in some other country, and then the goodwill of the American people to protect that oil and its production and movement, as long as you denominate it in dollars. That's why Trump has to move energy production back to the U.S. It's even part of the reason why we have to have the SMR reactors, small modular reactors, and positioned strategically all across the country, and then also export them. They can't make nuclear bombs. Their walkaway reactors are totally sealed in ballistic situations. Drop a bomb on them, what comes out, low grade anyway. So it's very, very, very safe, very green. But moving away from the coal or oil and things like that for all of our energy, and then also, I talked about it before the show here, Michael. Moving to hydrogen, which is a key component of what's ahead. And I've had the people, oh no, that's not going to work. Yeah, well, you're full of shit because you don't know what the plan is, but that's part of what's needed, because hydrogen is just a storage, just like a battery, but it's very safe. The exhaust is just water droplets, and we move our truck fleets into that, which it takes more space to store hydrogen than a liquid fuel. But the big trucks have plenty of space. They can store large quantities, and then you have an accident, it's just foam holding it, or other media. They can use a lot of things. So it doesn't blow up, it doesn't explode. If it burns, it's a very, relatively low temperature, simple burn. So it's, a lot safer than these lithium batteries, I'll guarantee you that. So there's a lot of angles in there. The small modular reactors are part of that. So what we're going to do is move America back to energy production at home and away from foreign production, and then go to a metals-backed currency, adding a time factor to rebuild our stocks. It's going to be epic, and America is going to be in fantastic shape. We do have drama ahead. The next many months and into next year are, going to be for the record books, but we're going to come out of this in fantastic shape. It's going to be an amazing place. And that's, the spiritual side. I think that's a common theme for Roseanne and me, is that you have to look at all these affairs of state, all of these people, and remember that God has made it very clear right there into Iran that he picks the leaders, that he decides who the leaders are in the affairs of men. And we pray for godly leadership, and then to keep us out of harm's way. There's a spiritual side of this, even praying for our leadership, so that we stay clear of some of these disasters. What Trump just did, blowing up those nuclear plants in Iran, may very well have stopped nuclear things all over the world. And by the way, he didn't let Israel claim the credit for it. America saved the world from what Iran was capable of doing and probably was going to do, by stopping them being able to produce those nuclear materials right there in Iran.
Beautiful.
I think America is on the verge of just the greatest golden age ever. And, I just am so excited. And I think that we're finally going to be the country we've always wanted to be and prayed to be and hoped for. I really do.
Absolutely.
I'm in the same boat. There's drama ahead, but we're going to get through it. It's going to be amazing. And thank God in heaven that we have Trump, and that the devil and all his minions, with all of their efforts, couldn't take Trump out. And by the way, there's going to be stories coming out with the movie coming out tomorrow on the assassination attempt on Trump, July 13th of last year. That documentary is very, very well researched, showing there was multiple shooters, using a forensic examination of the site with the latest investigative tools. That should cause everybody to wonder, okay, so if it's more than just one guy, and it was a conspiracy, which it was, who all was involved, there's going to be a hard push because some of the players tie back to Iran. But again, you have to think like a globalist. You have to think red herring. You have to think that they always have a cover for the cover for the cover in something of this magnitude. And so is the obvious there to distract you from what the real plan was. And I think that's really true. And then you're going to have all sorts of stories. I don't care which group they want to nail it to, and Israel's going to be in there. Mossad people are going to be in there. The reality is you cannot be that shallow or dense. You're looking at a globalist operation that saw Trump as a threat. These people have a plan, a design to take the world to the Third World War so they can get their global New World Order. The players actually occupy different offices under covers, okay? Ruses. You don't see their secret connections into these secret orders and secret handshake clubs. Remember the James Bond movie where the head of Her Majesty's Secret Service, her personal aide, somebody trusted, everything looked right and all that, that's there for her protection, turns out to be working for Spectre behind the scenes. We have to be sharper than that. Look at this with divine perception somehow. And if we do that, we're not going to be easily taken off point. These covert operations, the obvious is probably more likely not to be the correct answer. It's part of the fraud. You know that too, Michael. I mean, we run covers for covers to, red herrings to, the truth comes out 5 decades later. Well, actually, it was this.
Yep. Roseanne, if people want to reach you, how can they? Thanks, guys. This has been an amazing conversation.
Well, they can. What do you mean, reach me? They can. I don't know how
like
they
your website or your.
Your I got the Roseanne Barr podcast on YouTube, and it's on Rumble and every place else where you get podcasts. They can reach me there.
Okay.
And or I don't know. Just pray to reach me, and it'll happen.
We'll put some information in there.
But thank y'all for the show. I feel like we talked about a really wonderful. Thanks for including me, and to be here with both of you. And really, God bless America.
I really love you, Roseanne. We've fun times together, and I look forward to some more. And I read the script; it's pretty fun. We're gonna have some fun with that. And I actually I just got a vehicle to be great in that particular thing. But anytime you want to do a show together, I'd be up for it in a heartbeat.
Oh, great. And Juan, the JenniferMack.com?
Yeah, the JenniferMack.com. We actually just till Sunday night, tomorrow night Pacific, we're holding our silver coins. We only have two available for this year, and that's the Watch the Water coin. Well, everybody's seen all the weather stuff, how prescient was that. And then the Gitmo coin, which came out 2 weeks ago, and look at where things are at. And we're right there. I was holding that till the right moment.
I got to get that. That's
those
great.
are both out there.
Right.
Well, and
Awesome.
so we're going to hold it at the prices. Silver went up dramatically the last 2 days of trading.
It's going to keep going up. Yep.
And it's going to keep going up. So Sunday night Pacific midnight, we're going to have to raise the prices for the next orders, and I may have to raise it again even before the week's out if it does what we expect it to do based on all these announcements. Remember, going after the Fed like they are is a big deal. So, but we're going to hold it there till Sunday night, and then people want to save buck, and I have if they're buying more than one coin, we give quite a bit of a break over at gumroad.com, all patriots over there at gumroad.com, and we've got the coins over there, plus my books and like that. The latest one, the Japanese English version of Kid by the Side of the Road, very fun, got some different pictures in it. And so there's the commercial. But go get the coins while the price is cheaper. It's going up. People that bought last year have made way more than what's there. In fact, the Melania coins, I'm probably going to have to go back to some of the people that bought larger orders and pay a premium to try and buy some of those, because we accidentally sold out all of them.
Wow.
And we didn't know. I wasn't paying attention. We literally had just a handful for ourselves. We had to let all those go because we had the orders. So I'm going to have to go find somebody that wants to sell some of the coins and make a buck, and so that we could maybe have some of them available, at least so I have some for myself, because I don't have any of the Melania dress coin, which is epic. So anyway.
That is epic. I'm glad that I got a bunch of those. Thank you so much. So yeah, I wish I could get more of those Gitmos, but I'll get what I can get right now. Thanks.
Well, and by the way, you know what? Okay. I got to do this. I am going to send you a shirt that you can wear on the next broadcast.
Oh,
You're
please.
going to die when you see what it is. You're going to absolutely die. It's going to be so fun. I'll send you one too, Roseanne. I'll have Jen do that.
Okay.
You will absolutely die when you see the shirt. We'll have to just have you wear it just for fun on the next one. You'll get it the second you see it. Oh, it's hysterical. Jen's just,
great.
beside herself on it. So anyway, and she has her cookie contest over there too.
Oh yeah.
Over at the Jennifer Mack, just started. It's only till the end of July. If you got a good recipe that's healthy, they're trying to keep me, whatever. So, yeah, please send a good cookie recipe. I don't want to eat any crap. So, anyway.
All right, we got to sing together. 2020, it's not over yet. All right, God. Look at that. All three of us. That's beautiful.
2020.
Love you guys. Yeah, that was great. Great show. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye,
Appreciate it, guys. Night.
Night.